From cherished classics to historic establishments, here are the oldest restaurants in all 50 states of America. The Bright Star, Alabama. First stop is Alabama's oldest restaurant, the Bright Star in Bessemer. Established in 1907 by Greek immigrant Pete Karas, this family-owned gem has been serving up Southern cuisine with a Greek twist for over a century. What started as a small 25-seat eatery has grown into a bustling restaurant with 5 dining rooms and a bar, catering to 330 diners. Originally, the Bright Star served a simple menu of chili, sandwiches, and soup to local workers. In 1925, Karas's grandnephew Bill and Pete Koikos joined the business and added fresh snapper to the menu, making it a family favorite ever since. Today, their Greek-style snapper is the star, even making it onto the 100 Southern foods you absolutely positively must try before you die list. But don't miss out on their delights like Mediterranean Southern lobster, crab, beef tenderloin, and their out-of-this-world spanakopita. The Skagway Inn, Alaska. Next up, we're heading to Alaska. Nestled in the heart of the Klondike Gold Rush National Park Historic District is the charming historic Skagway Inn. Standing tall since 1897, first built as a brothel during the Klondike Gold Rush, it has also served as a hospital and a family home before becoming the cozy inn it is today. Known for its historical charm and great service, the Skagway Inn serves fresh Alaskan halibut that'll make your taste buds dance. Don't miss their delicious halibut and salmon ceviche, made with wild-caught Alaskan fish, onions, peppers, and a citrus zest vinaigrette. Ork General Store, Arkansas. They say the best things come in small packages, and that's definitely true for the Ork General Store in Arkansas. Established in 1890, this quaint little shop has grown famous for its big, delicious homemade pies and burgers. Located in the backwoods of Johnson County, the Ork General Store proudly holds the title of the oldest continually operated store in the state. Originally supplying locals with groceries, it has evolved over the century to serve more food to tourists drawn to the nearby Mulberry River, campgrounds, hiking trails, and off-road trails. Today, the menu features hearty breakfasts, rich burgers, tasty sandwiches, fresh salads, and, most importantly, those mouth-watering homemade pies you absolutely must try. The Palace Restaurant and Saloon, Arizona. Imagine biting into the juiciest, most delicious bison burger at the Palace Restaurant and Saloon in Prescott, Arizona. But this isn't just any burger. It's a burger with a side of fascinating history. Opened in September 1877 on Whiskey Row, the Palace Restaurant and Saloon quickly became a popular hangout for miners, local business owners, famous figures like Wyatt Earp, and even criminals. In July 1900, a fire destroyed much of the original building, but die-hard patrons saved the wooden Brunswick Bar, which is still in use today. Rebuilt in 1901 as the Palace Hotel and Bar, it added a Chinese restaurant and barbershop. Now a tourist hotspot, the Palace offers a taste of the Wild West with its historic architecture and artifacts. Enjoy your meal with whiskey cocktails, a rough rye dur, and their iconic Palace corn chowder. Tage Grill, California. San Francisco's historic Tage Grill is the oldest restaurant in the city and all of California. Established in 1849 by 3 Croatian immigrants, it began as a humble coffee tent on the wharf, serving grilled fish to sailors and merchants. John Tage, who worked there, eventually bought the place in the late 1800s. After surviving the 1906 earthquake and fire, the restaurant settled on California Street. Today, Tage Grill is famous for its fresh seafood, with a menu that changes daily based on the freshest catch. You have to try their signature Tage Cioppino, a massive bowl filled with fish, shellfish, scallops, and mussels. The Buckhorn Exchange, Colorado. The Buckhorn Exchange, established in 1893, is famous for its Rocky Mountain oysters, a unique delicacy made from bull calf testicles, which are a must-try for daring eaters. This historic restaurant offers an adventurous dining experience with its unusual menu items. The Buckhorn Exchange is also a living museum with mounted animals, live music, and Buffalo Bill look-alike contests. Every aspect of the dining experience takes you back to the days of pioneers, cowboys, and gold miners. The Jessups Tavern, Delaware. In Delaware's New Castle County, Jessups Tavern has been feeding folks since 1724. The building itself dates back to 1674, long before the Declaration of Independence was signed. It started as a home, then became a barrel-making business run by Abraham Jessup in 1724, went back to being a residence, and eventually became the Captain's Log Restaurant in the 1950s. The Day family took over in 1996, naming it after the original barrel maker. The menu reflects the area's rich European heritage, featuring creamy Dutch cheeses, English pub dishes, Swedish sauces, and American classics with a colonial twist. The favorite dish is the Hove Maine mussels, made with a pound of fresh mussels steamed in Belgian ale, diced tomatoes, garlic, and West Indian spices, topped with shredded cheese and served with grilled flatbread. The Griswald Inn Essex. When people talk about New England charm, Essex always tops the list. Essex is home to the Connecticut River, beautiful beaches, and the famous Griswald Inn. The Griswald Inn, first opened in 1776 by three Griswold brothers, is renowned for its prize-winning New England-style clam chowder with a twist of thyme and dill. Over the centuries, it has been run by about 6 families. Today, the Griswold Inn is famous for its restaurants. The main dining room, built from an old covered bridge, is adorned with historic relics. There's also a tap room that was once a schoolhouse and a swanky wine bar. The inn has even won multiple Best Bar in America awards over the years. Columbia Restaurant, Florida. If you ever visit Florida, don't miss out on tasting the 1905 salad. This legendary salad is exclusively available at the Columbia Restaurant in Tampa. Made tableside with iceberg lettuce, tomato, cheese, ham, olives, and their special garlic dressing. It's been a menu staple since 1905, and it is simply divine. The Columbia Restaurant is Florida's oldest restaurant and the largest Spanish restaurant in the world. It opened in 1905 as a small Cuban cafe in Ybor City, founded by Cuban immigrant Casimiro Hernandez Sr., who aimed to create a better life for his family. Little did he know, his humble cafe would grow into a massive establishment covering an entire city block. Today, the Columbia seats up to 1,700 people, attracts celebrities, and serves an array of amazing Spanish and Cuban dishes. Plaza Restaurant and Oyster Bar, Georgia. Next up is the Plaza Restaurant and Oyster Bar in Thomasville, Georgia. This family-owned gem has been serving Southern hospitality and fried oysters since 1916. It started off small, seating just 26 people, but has grown into a massive establishment that can handle up to 500 diners. The menu has Greek roots, but has expanded over the decades while preserving its original flavors. Their bar scene is lively with hot happy hour deals, and their seafood and homemade pies made from recipes over 50 years old are to die for. And don't forget the star of the menu, fried oysters. Manago Hotel, Hawaii. The Manago Hotel in Captain Cook, Hawaii, opened in 1917 by Kinzo and Osami Manago, has been a cozy spot serving local favorites for over a century. The highlight of the menu is their legendary pork chops, renowned for their rich, indulgent flavor. The secret behind these mouth-watering chops lies in the well-seasoned cast iron skillet they're cooked in, infusing each bite with a unique, savory taste that keeps customers coming back for more. But it's not just the food that makes the Manago Hotel special. The warm, homey atmosphere and friendly service make every visit feel like a trip back in time. The dining room, with its simple wooden tables and vintage decor, adds to the nostalgic charm, creating a perfect setting to enjoy a hearty meal. The Snake Pit, Idaho. The Snake Pit in the tiny town of Ennaville might just be Idaho's oldest restaurant, dating back to 1880. Over the years, this place has been everything from a hotel to a bar and even a brothel. Today, it's an iconic restaurant that makes you feel like you stepped back in time 100 years. Their most loved snacks include buffalo burgers and North Fork burgers, packed with bacon, cheese, ham, and all the fresh garden fixes. This rustic restaurant is brimming with historic charm and memorabilia. The decor is delightfully quirky, with random oddities everywhere you look. There's a legit elk horn chair from 1954 and a fireplace made of rocks brought in by customers right in there. The Village Tavern, Illinois. A 177-year-old wagon shop turned restaurant, the Village Tavern is now the oldest restaurant in all of Illinois. This historic gem features a mahogany bar that survived the McCormick Place fire in 1967 and an 1890s grandfather clock. Despite various additions and renovations, they've preserved much of their history, even using wood from an 1840s barn. The current owners are dedicated to maintaining traditions, like the Friday night piano player who's been there for almost 40 years. But the real star of the show is their prime rib. Known for being tender, flavorful, and perfectly cooked, it's served with your choice of 2 sides, making it a must-try for any visitor. The Log Inn, Indiana. Speaking of flavorful, another historic spot where you can get finger-licking meat is the Log Inn in Haubstadt, Indiana. This place has been around since 1825 and even served as a stop on Abraham Lincoln's campaign trail. Originally a log cabin built by Henry Hubble, the Log Inn now offers traditional American and German dishes. Their most ordered item is the fried chicken, known for its rich flavor and tenderness. The historic ambiance in the inn will make you feel like you step back in time, adding to the unique dining experience. Bright Box Country Dining, Iowa. Picture yourself digging into the juiciest, most flavor-packed pork tenderloin of your life. Now picture that same tenderloin has been making taste buds happy since 1852, even surviving 2 fires along the way. That's the legendary status of Iowa's oldest continuously operating restaurant, Bright Box Country Dining in Balltown. This family-owned joint is the definition of resilience, having survived not 1, but 2 devastating fires. It's been passed down through 6 generations, still standing strong and serving delicious goodness to this day. Hayes House, Kansas. Hayes House has been a staple for almost 200 years. Founded by Seth Hayes, Daniel Boone's great-grandson, this historic spot has worn many hats before becoming the beloved restaurant it is today. It exudes all the charm of an old-time edifice, offering meals and rooms to weary traders on their 8-week journey between New Mexico and Missouri. And it hasn't stopped whipping up the best meals since. From the guest-favorite country fried steak to the much raved-about desserts that keep patrons coming back for more, Hayes House has been serving up sweet Western hospitality since its inception. The Old Talbot Tavern, Kentucky. In Kentucky, the Old Talbot Tavern in Bardstown is a true Southern belle, serving up hospitality and hot browns since 1779. As the oldest Western stagecoach stop in America and home to the oldest bourbon bar in the world, it's an historical treasure. The tavern has hosted everyone from Abraham Lincoln to Jesse James, surviving fires and renovations while preserving its original architecture. It features 6 rooms named after famous visitors, including Abraham Lincoln, General Patton, and Jesse James. On the premises, there's a restaurant, pub, and gift shop. When you visit, be sure to try the warm, delicious Kentucky hot brown for lunch or dinner. It's the hottest thing on the menu. Antoines Restaurant, Louisiana. Next, let's talk about Antoines in New Orleans. This place is seriously old school. Founded by French immigrant Antoine Alchator, it opened way back in 1840. Antoines is the oldest family-run restaurant in the U.S., serving fine French Creole cuisine since its inception. It has hosted famous guests like Franklin D. Roosevelt and the Pope, and has survived major events like the Civil War, World Wars, Prohibition, and Hurricane Katrina. Nothing can take it down at this point. Their famous Oysters Rockefeller, invented by Antoine's son Jules, is legendary. These baked oysters are smothered in rich green sauce, and the secret recipe remains a mystery to this day. The Palace Diner, Maine. In Biddeford, Maine, the Palace Diner, started by Louis E. Morin, opened its doors in 1927. The diner has no booths, just 15 stools at a counter worn smooth by years of customers. Currently, it's run by Chad Connolly and Greg Mitchell, 2 young chefs with impressive culinary backgrounds, who met while working on a farm and took over the diner with a plan to offer simple, high-quality breakfast and lunch dishes. Their dedication to quality ensures that every dish, from tuna melts on challah bread to house-made banana bread, is thoughtfully prepared and delicious. Middleton Tavern, Maryland. Head to the Middleton Tavern in Annapolis if you want to taste the most legendary crab cakes around. This historic spot started as a residence in 1750 before becoming a restaurant. It has hosted notable figures like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, and was a key meeting place during the American Revolution. Their crab cakes are loaded with fresh lump crab and perfectly seasoned. The colonial vibes and waterfront views make enjoying incredible seafood here even better. Oyster House, Massachusetts. In Boston, there's the Union Oyster House, which has been open and slinging oysters since 1826, making it the oldest continuously operating restaurant in America. This historic spot served as a meeting place for the founding fathers of America. Their thick, creamy New England clam chowder is iconic, perfected over hundreds of years. The historic atmosphere with its narrow stairs and wooden booths transports you to the past while you enjoy a bowl of this legendary chowder. The White Horse Inn, Michigan. The White Horse Inn in the tiny town of Metamora has been serving up grub since 1850, making it Michigan's oldest restaurant. Originally a stagecoach stop, it's known for its Victorian charm and historic significance, featuring a menu of classic American dishes. Their beef Wellington is out of this world, and the rustic, charming vibes instantly take you back in time, making every visit a delightful trip through history. The Hubble House, Minnesota. If you're a fan of amazing prime rib, you have to make a trip to the Hubble House restaurant in the tiny town of Mantorville, Minnesota. Their prime rib is legendary, melt in your mouth tender and bursting with rich flavor. But the Hubble House is way more than just a steakhouse. It first opened its doors in 1854 when Minnesota was still a territory, and it's been serving delicious food ever since. Throughout its long history, the Hubble House has hosted big celebrities and important figures like Ulysses S. Grant, Helen Keller, baseball legend Mickey Mantle, and several other U.S. presidents. It's mind-blowing. Amazingly, some of its staff members have worked there for over 60 years. That's older than some of our grandparents. Weidmans, Mississippi. If you find yourself in Meridian, Mississippi, you have to visit Weidmans. Established in 1870 by Swiss chef Felix Weidmann, this iconic restaurant is on the National Register of Historic Places. Passed down through the family and modernized in 1999, it's now run by Charles Fraser, who brought back classics like shrimp and grits and black bottom pie. A charming touch is the peanut butter crocks on every table, a tradition from the 1940s wartime butter shortage. Weidmann's warm, nostalgic atmosphere makes every visit just special. J. Houston Tavern, Missouri. You can never go wrong with a crispy golden brown fried chicken from J. Houston Tavern in Missouri. It takes you right back to your grandma's kitchen, located in the tiny town of Arrow Rock. J. Houston Tavern has been running non-stop since 1834, making it the oldest restaurant west of the Mississippi River. Built by Judge Joseph Houston as a family home and tavern, Arrow Rock became a popular spot for travelers on the Santa Fe Trail, offering rooms, food, and drinks. After the Civil War, Arrow Rock declined, but ladies' groups saved the tavern in the early 1900s. They turned it into a museum and got the state to buy it. Now restored to its former glory, J. Houston Tavern lets visitors experience an authentic 1800s tavern while serving up delicious fried chicken. Pekin Noodle Parlor, Montana. From the earliest days, people from all over the world have found a home in America, bringing their cultures, traditions, and delicious cuisines with them. This is how America's oldest continuously running Chinese restaurant came to be. The Pekin Noodle Parlor in Butte was founded by immigrant Hum Yao and first opened way back in 1911 to feed the large Chinese community that came for the gold rush. The place is totally old school. You get served in cool private booths with orange curtains, and the food is wheeled right to you on trolleys. Even though the Chinese population in Butte is smaller now, the parlor is still going strong, serving up classic Chinese American dishes like its beloved chow mein and chop suey, along with some pure American fare too. Glurs Tavern, Nebraska. Glurs Tavern is a premium old bar that's been operating non-stop since 1876 in Columbus, Nebraska. Initially built as a saloon by Swiss immigrant brothers, it also served as a stagecoach stop and Wild West watering hole. The legendary Buffalo Bill Cody even drank there back in 1883. After changing owners a few times, Louis Glur took over in 1925 and added a fancy outdoor beer garden with German bands. Today, not much has changed. The floors, foundations, and parts of the building are still original from the 1800s. The tavern is famous for its burgers and signature fried potatoes, thick skin-on slices sprinkled with Lowry's seasoned salt. If you want a really good burger and a cold beer, Glurs Tavern is the place to be. Genoa Bar and Saloon, Nevada. The Genoa Bar and Saloon in Nevada is the oldest thirst parlor in the state, opening in 1853 before Nevada was even an official state. This authentic Old West saloon has been pouring drinks and providing a hangout spot for over 165 years. Notable figures like Mark Twain, Teddy Roosevelt, and John Wayne have all enjoyed a drink here. Inside, you'll find a super old bar counter from the 1800s and a diamond-dusted mirror that traveled all the way from Scotland by covered wagon. If you ever stop in for a cold one, you'll be drinking where celebrities, outlaws, and regular folks have for almost 2 centuries. The Hancock Inn, New Hampshire. The Hancock Inn and Fox Tavern in Hancock, New Hampshire has been around since 1789, making it over 230 years old. Back then, it was a vital stop for travelers on an important trade route, even hosting presidents like Franklin Pierce. Today, it's been renovated, but still maintains its colonial-era ambiance with plenty of historical details, like secret ceiling bottles that amplify music. You can enjoy delicious, modern meals at the tavern, and if you visit, you absolutely have to try the maple glazed salmon. It's insanely good. The Cranbury, New Jersey. You gotta try the prime rib at the Cranbury Inn. It's legendary. People rave about how they slow roast that massive cut of beef until it's incredibly tender and juicy. But the real star of this historic spot is its rich roots. Parts of the inn date back to the 1750s, when it served as a tavern for colonial travelers like George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, and Revolutionary War heroes. The Cranbury Inn also has secret hideouts used by runaway slaves on the Underground Railroad. You can still see the original timber frames and brickwork today. Whether you come for the food or the history, the Cranbury Inn has remained a beloved New Jersey gem for over 265 years because it can serve both. Ferol, New Mexico. Santa Fe is one of the oldest capital cities in America, so it's no surprise that New Mexico's oldest restaurant is located there. El Ferol, a Spanish tapas restaurant, was established in 1835 and is still going strong over 180 years later. El Ferol means warmth and light, making it a perfect gathering place for friends and family. True to its name, El Ferol is known for its warm flamenco performances and special tapas, small portions of delicious foods served in groupings and meant to be shared. Fraunces Tavern, New York. If you could take a bite of history, it would taste like the thick, hearty shepherd's pie from Fraunces Tavern in New York City. This 1762 landmark was the spot where George Washington bid farewell to his officers after the Revolutionary War. Over time, fires and renovations destroyed much of the original structure. In 1906, the Sons of the Revolution hired an architect to build a new colonial-style tavern using some old remnants, but mostly guesswork on what it originally looked like. Preservationists were upset that it was presented as authentic instead of a recreation. Despite the controversy, it became one of New York's first landmarks in 1965. The whole issue just shows the tricky balance between restoring history and replicating it from scratch. The Tavern in Old Salem, North Carolina. The Salem Tavern, built in 1772 by the Moravian community, stands as a testament to solid period architecture and decor, beautifully preserved to this day. Stepping inside is like traveling back to colonial times. But let's talk food. The Salem Tavern is famous for serving hearty, traditional Moravian dishes. You gotta try their iconic Moravian chicken pie, featuring shredded chicken baked in a delicious pastry crust. People go nuts over it. Between the amazing old-world ambiance and the outstanding Moravian cuisine, the Salem Tavern offers a real taste of life in the 1700s backcountry. No wonder it drew notable guests like George Washington himself. Peacock Alley, North Dakota. For unique game meats, hit up Peacock Alley in Bismarck, which has been around since 1933. Their bison ribeye is the star. Lean, tender, and super flavorful. This historic restaurant and bar, located in the old Patterson Hotel, has hosted countless politicians and celebs over the decades. It was a political hotspot and secretly served alcohol during Prohibition. Famous guests include boxing legends and presidents like Theodore Roosevelt and John F. Kennedy. Today, Peacock Alley is known for its unique cuts of beef and fresh ingredients, winning national awards. It's a place where you can enjoy great foods and drinks while soaking in the historic ambiance that's been part of Bismarck for over 80 years. The Golden Lamb, Ohio. In 1803, Jonas Seaman traveled from New Jersey to Ohio and bought a $4 license to open a house of public entertainment in Lebanon. Little did he know, his establishment, the Golden Lamb, would still be serving food and lodging over 200 years later, making it Ohio's oldest business. Thanks to its prime location between Cincinnati and the National Road, the Golden Lamb quickly became popular. Robert Jonas took over in 1926, and after a fire in 1928, he replaced lost furniture with beautiful antiques still in use today. It remains a beloved stop for travelers, rich in history and charm, serving up tasty roast turkey and hospitality since its inception. Cattleman's Steakhouse, Oklahoma. Every state has its historic spots, but Cattleman's Steakhouse in Oklahoma City has a special history. Opening in 1910, it served cowboys and ranchers in the bustling stockyard city. By 1926, it was in Packingtown and run by H.V. Paul. In 1945, Gene Wade won Cattleman's in a dice game with a lucky roll, then expanded the place, making it a cozy spot for the best ribeye steak dinner in Oklahoma. Over the years, Cattleman's has welcomed everyone from movie stars like John Wayne to politicians like Ronald Reagan and George Bush. With its rich history and legendary steaks, Cattleman's Steakhouse remains a beloved institution in Oklahoma City today. Huber's Cafe, Oregon. Huber's Cafe, possibly Portland's oldest restaurant, opened in 1879 as the Bureau Saloon. Famous for its roast turkey and flaming Spanish coffees, it's been run by the Louis family for over a century. Frank Huber took over in 1888 and hired Jim Louis, a hardworking immigrant from China, in 1891. Louis's delicious roast turkey became a hit. Even during the 1894 flood, he served customers from a rowboat. The cafe moved to its current location in 1910 and survived Prohibition by becoming a full-time restaurant. After Frank Huber died in 1911, Jim Louis became the manager. Louis's nephew Andrew took over in 1946, and now Andrew's children run it, keeping the family tradition alive. Today, Huber's is famous for its Spanish coffee and remains a beloved spot for turkeys and history lovers alike. McGillen's Old Ale House, Pennsylvania. McGillen's Old Ale House in Philadelphia, opened by Irish immigrants Catherine and William McGillen in 1860, is the city's oldest bar. Known for outlasting the Civil War and Prohibition, it became famous for its shepherd's pie and draft beers. After William's death, Ma McGillen kept the bar running, even during Prohibition, by serving tea upstairs. Her daughter, Mercedes, later took over, and it's been with the Chapanic family since 1958. McGinnis's is packed with vintage Philadelphia signs, has a well-stocked jukebox, and hosts lively karaoke nights to this day. White Horse Tavern, Rhode Island. The White Horse Tavern in Newport, Rhode Island is the oldest operating tavern in the U.S., opening its doors in 1673. It started as a cozy spot for politicians and locals, including pirates like William Mays Jr., who inherited it in 1702. During the Revolutionary War, the British used the tavern to house soldiers. Today, visitors enjoy New England cuisine, colonial-era artifacts, and 17th century architecture. For dinner, there's a business casual dress code, and their clam chowder is a must-try. Unbelievably creamy, flavorful, and packed with clams. The tavern is a charming historical piece, even boasting a ghost by the dining room fireplace. McGrady's Tavern, South Carolina. The oldest bar in South Carolina, McGrady's Tavern in Charleston, is an historic gem tucked away in a charming alley. Known for its shrimp and grits, McGrady's has an intriguing past. Established in 1778, it once hosted President George Washington for a 30-course meal. Owned by Edward McGrady, the tavern was a political hotspot. It's been through a lot, including a major restoration in 1982. In 2016, it returned to its roots as a tavern with renowned chef Sean Brock, the king of Southern cuisine, as the executive chef. McGrady's combines delicious food, rich history, and a welcoming atmosphere, making it a must-visit. The Bodega, South Dakota. If you're in South Dakota, you've got to try the famous Buffalo Burger at Buffalo Bodega in Deadwood, the oldest bar in the state. Opened by Mike Russell in 1877, it has seen it all, from serving cowboys and tourists to being a hotspot for live music and casino fun. Located at 658 Main Street, this historic bar has evolved into the Buffalo Bodega Gaming Complex. You can grab lunch at the Stockade, try your luck at the casino, or enjoy live music, a hot buffalo burger, and drinks at the Buffalo Bar. It's a must-visit for both history buffs and food lovers. Bell Buckle Cafe, Tennessee. Bell Buckle Cafe in Bell Buckle, Tennessee is the best spot for a meat and three meal. You can choose from green beans, carrot souffle, sweet potatoes, and grits. But don't miss the best-selling chicken and dumplings. The cafe used to be Bell Buckle Records, a famous studio where many country music stars began their careers. Inside, you'll find music artifacts, and every Friday and Saturday night, live bands perform. The owners also opened the Southern Charm Tea Room for a fancy tea experience. Established by Jeanette Heineke in 1922, Bell Buckle Cafe captures the town's charm with hearty meals and friendly service. It's a perfect blend of history, music, and delicious Southern cooking. Schultz Garden, Texas. Schultz Garden in Austin, Texas has been around since 1866. German immigrant August Schultz opened this bar and cafe, making it the go-to hangout for the local German community. In 1908, the Austin Sangarundi, a German singing club, bought it and added a bowling alley, which is now one of the oldest in the U.S. Schultz Garden has hosted everything from UT football celebrations to political gatherings. In 2016, it celebrated 150 years, making it Texas's oldest business and America's oldest beer garden. It's the perfect spot for UT fans, music lovers, and families to enjoy German drinks and food, especially its beloved bratwurst. The Bluebird Restaurant, Utah. The Bluebird Restaurant in Logan, Utah has been around since 1914. Started out as an ice cream and candy store. Over the years, it's grown into a local icon with a mix of dining areas, from classic dinner vibes to fancier setups with white tablecloths. They still serve up their famous raspberry lemonade and scones and have a menu that'll satisfy any appetite, whether you're into a prime rib or just craving a milkshake. It's been a staple for Logan for over a century, and once you visit, you'll see why people keep coming back. Ye Old Tavern Vermont. Ye Old Tavern in Manchester, Vermont is like stepping into the 18th century with its colonial charm. Built in 1790, it started as the Stagecoach Inn and has seen many transformations over the years. It hosted Vermont's Green Mountain Boys and became a hub for local politics. The tavern survived changes in ownership from Thayer's Hotel to Fairview Hotel until it was lovingly restored in 1975 by Peter and Susan Palmer. Today, the unique decor, creaky floors, and roast turkey dinner keep guests coming back, offering a genuine taste of history and tradition. The Red Fox Inn and Tavern, Virginia. The Red Fox Inn and Tavern, built in 1728 as Chin's Ordinary, is a slice of living history in Middleburg, Virginia. Serving as a hospital during the Civil War, it is the oldest continually operated inn in America, hosting everyone from Elizabeth Taylor to Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis during fox hunting seasons. Since 1976, 3 generations of the Reuter family have lovingly run the inn, ensuring guests enjoy local flavors cooked with traditional Southern methods. Today, it's not just a restaurant, but a Virginia landmark filled with charm and stories that make it the heart of Middleburg. Central Tavern and Saloon, Washington. The Central Tavern, now known as the Central Saloon, is a famous spot in Seattle's historic Skagway building. This iconic establishment has been around since the Gold Rush days, surviving Prohibition and urban renewal to become a legendary music venue. In the 1980s, the Central Saloon played a pivotal role in the rise of grunge, hosting bands like Nirvana and Soundgarden. Today, it continues to attract locals and grunge enthusiasts alike, preserving its rich history amidst Seattle's changing culture. If you're into music history or just want to check out a place with a lot of stories, the Central Saloon is definitely worth a visit. While you're there, be sure to try the best fish and chips in Washington. North End Tavern and Brewery, West Virginia. Sometimes a business cannot survive on its history alone. It must evolve and adapt to the times to thrive. This is exactly why West Virginia's oldest restaurant, North End Tavern and Brewery in Parksburg, still exists after over 118 years in business. Started by former wrestler Bradford Zip Thorne, it began as a beer-focused tavern. Under current owner Joe Rodersheimer, it evolved into a full restaurant with a microbrewery added in the mid-90s, a risky move that paid off. Today, the Net is famous for its Net Burger and award-winning ale. They've kept traditions alive while adapting to modern times. If you're ever in Parksburg, it's worth checking out this historic spot for a taste of local history and great food. Red Circle Inn, Wisconsin. Ever heard of the Red Circle Inn in Nashotah, Wisconsin? It's been around since 1848, just as long as Wisconsin has been a state. Started by Bavarian immigrants Francis Schroudenbach, it was later owned by Frederick Pabst of Pabst Blue Ribbon fame in the 1880s. Over the years, it's been a spot where big decisions were made, like designing the first Milwaukee Road streamliner and moving the Braves baseball team to Milwaukee. Today, it's known for its delicious classic American and European dishes, especially its filet mignon. The historic Occidental Hotel and Saloon, Wyoming. If you've ever wondered what it was like to step back into the Old West, the historic Occidental Hotel in Buffalo, Wyoming does that for you. Built in 1880, it hosted legends like Buffalo Bill Cody and Calamity Jane. After almost fading away in the 1980s, it got a new lease on life thanks to Don Dawson and David Stewart, who restored it to its former glory. Now it's furnished with original ceilings, antique furniture, and even bullet holes from its wild past. It's been named the best hotel in the West and the best saloon in the West. And its delicious prime rib is the most ordered meal on the menu. Good food, good ambiance, good old-fashioned service. That's what these historical restaurants offer. Which would you like to visit first? Let us know in the comments. Bon appetit!